Well, hello, golfers. Chris here, and this is The Game. The goal of this podcast is to help you lower your score in the shortest amount of time possible without spending a fortune on lessons, clubs, or gimmicks. Our aim is to help you improve your mind, body, and skill so you can become a single-digit handicapper. And we want you to be able to do it all on your own, teaching yourself the game. Hey, this is Chris with the Golf Aggressive Podcast, aka The Game. I am here with Rich Guzzo, our tamed golf pro, and he has got some gold nuggets for you today about finding a teaching pro or a mentor. And I think for the most part, if you want to succeed in life faster than everybody else, you need a mentor. You need somebody that you can trust that's not going to bullshit you. You need that in business. You need that in your personal life. And for most of us, it's our grandfathers or our dads, or an uncle, somebody like that. But when it comes to golf, you're going to need to find somebody who understands the game and can kind of figure you out and guide you and talk to you and spend quality time with you on the golf course. And for me personally, I don't like having to hunt and find a new teacher. So Rich, he's done this a lot more than I have. So I'm going to kind of let him take over. But me personally, it needs to be somebody that I trust and somebody that, they don't necessarily need to be super awesome, but they need to be kind of intuitive. They need to, more than anything, spend time with you. And a lot of pros that I have, they rush from lesson to lesson, and they don't really kind of learn your swing and your game, so to speak. So, Rich, why don't you kind of give us your thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right there on the coffin. It's that big word of trust. If you don't trust who you're working with, it doesn't matter how good this teacher is. It's just not going to work out for you. You're always going to have a doubt on what they're going to preach or what they're going to tell you, whatever. I wouldn't say method, but their methodology on swing thoughts. So if you don't trust the teacher that you are getting lessons from, don't go see them again or don't get a lesson from them. So that's the big key, trust. We can look at experience, and I've changed my viewpoint on experience over the years. I used to always consider a PGA accredited pro as being the go-to when it comes to getting instruction.
Now you're talking about, most of the pros today are PGA pros. You're talking about maybe guys that specialize.
No,
It's kind of like doctors with PGA pros. There's guys that manage the golf course. There's guys that give lessons. There's guys that run tournaments. There's
that's
guys that
exactly right. Yeah.
merchandise.
So, I mean, but that's all under the same umbrella. And a PGA accredited pro used to be my go-to experience accreditation criteria for selecting an instructor. It's not necessarily the case. Well, I would say it still is, but you have to, like you said, find out what their main role is. If it is,
I mean, you don't want to go to an eye doctor if your big toe is bothering you.
Right, exactly. And so you have to understand their primary role. If their primary role is focusing on the pro shop, director of operations, the clubhouse, the golf course, they may not be the instructor that you're looking for. If they are, their full time is spent on the range working with, golfers, then that could be something I would consider. So the experience element is a big factor. And, I have a personal, I guess, criteria when it comes to this. I like my pro to be able to play. I find that if and be it doesn't have to be right now. Like I've got an instructor in Oklahoma, Larry Campbell, who is not playing his best form. I mean, he's much older, but back in his prime, he was a great stick. So it doesn't necessarily mean they have to be playing well now.
Yeah,
They just,
Larry. Good
yeah, I
old
mean,
Larry. Sneezing in
yeah.
your backswing, Larry.
Hey, I paid him
Larry,
off.
an interesting story about Larry is he used to play on the PGA Tour and it was in some big major tournaments and things like that. But the funny thing about Larry is if he's wearing a baseball hat, which he usually is, and he does his swing, sometimes I don't know how the hell he does it. His hands will hit the bill of his hat.
Well, normally you have your hand, you're swinging behind your head. Larry's swing actually comes out in front of his head. And this swing he's got course records in Oklahoma still to this day with this swing. So, and the funny thing, when I first started working with him back in 98, I think it was, uh, never knew about it. I had received quite a good few references from a couple of other college coaches and that spoke really highly of him. So I knew that he had played back in the day, just never really saw him swing the club. And until I graduated college and we went out and played, and I was like, what is this?
Well, he says if he's
Yeah.
not hitting his bill of his hat, something's wrong.
Well, the first time I did play with him, I thought his elbow popped on his backswing, but it was the club hitting the bill of the hat. It made a
Yeah.
popping sound. And
Well,
so, yeah.
it,
So,
it kind of brings us to this point because the guy, I mean, we played probably last year, I think was the last time we played, but he was, for an older guy, he was calling his shots. I mean, he
yeah.
was putting it where he wanted, and then he was acting like, "Oh, I'm terrible. I'm so out of practice." And then he would drain a 20-footer and
Yeah.
drain a 15-footer. His putting was unbelievable. But
Yeah.
here's the thing, kind of brings me to my next point is, Rich, this guy is a player. Any biomechanics guy or swing guru, I think David Ledbetter would probably pass out if he saw this guy swing. But these guys, if they were to look at his swing, what would they say?
Oh yeah. I mean, well, they'd laugh.
Well, it's kind of like the Jim
Yeah.
Furyk swing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he's very similar swing.
Yeah. I mean, but you look at Larry's action through the impact zone. I mean, that's really where it counts, and it's consistently through where you need to be. So,
Well, that's really the only thing that matters, right?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
impact.
yeah. So yeah, and when we're looking at instructors, I place Larry in old school instructor category. You can do new school and old school. I have. There's
Well,
no.
tell us what new school is.
Okay, new school's technology, basically. They're going to use video. They're going to use launch monitors. They're going to use gadgets. They're going to use training aids. Uh, Old school, go hit some golf balls, and then they can see what you're doing wrong and give you a few adjustments. Now, depending on your level, if you're an elite golfer, most likely it's a few slight adjustments. We're talking matter of inches. Beginners, it's a different story. But they're able to identify what you're needing to correct or work on by their trained eye. I consider that old school. Typically, old school also give you data based or give you information that you need. So, like when I would work with Larry or I'd work with other old school instructors, they're not going to feel obligated to give me something just because I paid them for a lesson. They typically will only work, and that's the funny thing, mentality wise, you think that you need to be working on something, or you think that something's off. You'll go see an old school instructor, and they'll say, "Well, you're swinging it great," and so you scratch your head and you're thinking, "Well, what's going on here?" Because I don't feel comfortable, and so you don't see that a lot in new.
Yeah, they're always wanting to change stuff, but I get that too. One of my favorite teachers is Brent Cryer here in Oklahoma City. I call him the golf whisperer. Sometimes our golf lessons are 5 minutes long.
Yeah.
So I'll go in there and he can see it immediately. He doesn't use any kind of video stuff. I mean, he will from time to time if you want it.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean that's the thing. Like everyone wants to see that now because that's what everyone sees on TV. They see launch monitors, they see video.
Well,
Uh,
what he does that's different is he'll video your swing when you're hitting it good.
yeah,
Saves it on his phone. He's got it there, and he can always look back at it and, well, yeah, you were hitting it pretty good here, and then he can see what you're doing now. But these guys always wanting to change something or always wanting to update something. I had a guy here. I can't remember his name, but he was tremendous, and we worked on the swing. It was at Golf Tech, I think last year, and we went through and did 3 or 4 lessons. He's like, there's things that we could definitely improve. And he compared my swing against PGA pros and this and that. And he goes, but seriously, man, your impact position's great. You're not missing shots by that much. So what's your real problem? And
yeah,
I said, around the green.
yeah.
Guess where our next lesson was? Right around the green. This guy showed me all kinds of great shots, and we just worked on that. And it helped me tremendously.
Yeah.
And it,
So
it gave me confidence too.
and that's it. That's the big component of this. So if you don't trust, we go back to the trust issue. So if you don't trust your instructor and they give you some nuggets to work on to build that trust or build that confidence, it's going to go by the wayside. So if you trust your instructor first, if you find the instructor that works for you, because you may find that new technology is a better learning curve for you, or you learn faster with seeing video. Um, so you're going to want to find someone that does that. Uh, so identifying new school, old school, the technology that they use, the technology that's going to benefit you. So if you find that for a faster learning curve, you prefer to see it on video, you prefer to see it on a launch monitor data, or you prefer them to actually physically place you in positions so that you can feel it. And that's old
Yeah,
school.
I mean, I
Uh,
guess it's, there's different ways that people learn, and you just kind of have to figure out which way do you learn the
right,
fastest.
right. I
Me,
will,
it's feelings. Like if
yeah,
I could get a feeling and memorize that feeling, when I'm out on the golf course, I can feel it go wrong. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm able to fix myself a little quicker.
yeah.
But
And
some
that
people
that's
learn visually.
Yeah, and you'll find when you find a good instructor, they're going to say, okay, this is the swing move or this is the position you need to get in. Now, when you hit a particular shot, it's caused from this. So when you do get out on the golf course and you hit that bad shot, you understand what went into hitting that shot so that you can quickly assess it. And then the next shot comes along, you've already you mentally figured it out because you've on your range session and when you've worked with the instructor, you've identified a certain swing position causes a certain shot. So, and that comes from a good instructor. It's not just about saying, okay, let's do this and that to get this. It's understanding your swing and also understanding when it goes wrong, how to identify it and correct it. And so yeah, so you really have to find what works for you, old school, new school. It could be a matter of both. Um, and I want to add in there is a strong, I would say, a disclaimer, or I would say a word of advice. If you're looking at hiring an instructor, um, look at them give lessons to other golfers and a few other golfers. Uh, the one thing you want to stay away from is if they have a method or methodology on a particular swing. And
Yeah. This kind of brings up the point that I was talking to Brent about. And Brent's a lot like Claude Harmon and Butch Harmon, who I'm huge fans of. If anybody watches this podcast on a regular basis, they know this. And
I don't
he
think there's
told
a
me,
podcast that goes by that you don't drop their names in.
hey, those guys are Jedis. But Brent was telling me, everybody's different.
Yeah,
Everybody is built differently. Everybody has different strengths, weaknesses. People are just flexible different. People are taller. Like, not everybody's built like Dustin Johnson, who has like the perfect build to just smash the ball. And guess what? He does smash the ball because he's tall. He's got a longer swing arc. Um, but he doesn't try to force swing changes on people. He kind of works with what's there with their authentic swing. And we've talked about this before on blog posts, finding your authentic swing and stop chasing, this perfect biomechanics thing. I'm not trying to beat up on biomechanics. They certainly have their place. But I think when you're trying to improve in golf, your score, um, they kind of complicate things. They make things a little harder on you. But back to the point is, yeah, I mean, methodology of your swing. If that's your swing style, then obviously you want to go to that kind of a teacher. But um, a lot of us don't even know what our swing style is.
Yeah, and one swing doesn't, or one method doesn't apply to all golfers. Everyone's so different. So, and it's very easy to spot. Just look at them. I mean, they'll have certain techniques or certain drills that they give each golfer. Once you see that done multiple times, avoid like the plague, because they're going to put you in a position that you don't necessarily have to be in. So
Yeah, I mean, like we talked about, the only position that matters is impact. What the feedback that club face at the moment of impact is going to, the information, I guess, that it's going to deliver to the ball, and then the feedback is your ball. That's the only thing that matters is right there. I mean, you could swing it upside down as long as you're perfect there.
yeah, yeah. So that would be the disclaimer. Try to review an instructor giving lessons to other people to understand their teaching methods and how they go about students. If you see that they give a different lesson to every golfer, perfect, because that will allow you to work with an instructor that will give you some sound advice. I've
Well,
had
this kind of brings up a different point, though, but on the same subject is, okay, so I see these single plane guys, and um, it makes me think I'm not a single plane golfer. I have two planes. I've got my backswing and my downswing. But what if you're just taking up the game and you want to find a swing and you want to find a method? Is that okay to go
as a
that route?
beginner.
Yeah.
I,
I mean, are
I
you anti single plane?
I am
Because
anti-method.
it's working pretty good for Kuchar.
Yeah, I'm anti-method. So unless
What?
you're an elite golfer and you want to make a drastic change and are aware of what's involved, okay, I get it. I mean, you look at Tiger's gone through certain swing changes. He understands the process, what's needed to go into that
Tiger's
process.
a mental case, right?
But most golfers don't understand what goes into it. So I would prefer if you're starting the game, I would prefer an instructor that really hammers home the core fundamentals, grip, alignment, stance, all that, weight
Well,
transfer,
yeah. I mean,
that
the
stuff.
single
So
plane guys do that too.
yeah, but
They're not just teaching you crap. I mean, it has its place. I think it's not for me, but I'm not going to bash it like you are.
I'm not bashing it. I'm saying method instructors. And I'll give you an
No, I
example.
know exactly
So
what you're saying.
yeah,
Is they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
that's exactly it. If I give you an example of my game as a picture on how to identify a method instructor, my hands are predominantly a little bit lower, and I'm okay with that because I feel like I can generate the
A
most.
bit.
They are. So, but from my body perspective, it's not that bad. Plus, I feel like at that position, I can generate a faster club head speed and hit the ball further. Now, I had
Well, I mean, your swing plan is you're like a piston out there, man. It's just so repeatable. But yeah, I mean, you know your positions, you know what works for you. If you
right.
go to a single plane guy,
Not
it,
necessarily a single plate. I'm talking method. So one of the instructors I've had in the past that I went and seeked some advice from, wanted to just basically change the perception and go to what he considered standard or stock, and it was a very upright lie, a very standing up. Like say, my posture's fine, but he had to adjust to the club being low. So I'm up here like this now. So I had to stand posture-wise as here. And at first I was like, okay, I get it. He sees I'm low, wants to make changes. What I didn't realize, and that's why I put it in the disclaimers, I didn't see this guy give lessons prior. And then after I had got this lesson, I had seen that he teaches that same upright position to everyone. And
I can tell just from watching your swing over the years that, whether it's a single plane, whether it's the Nick Faldo swing like mine, or, your swing, there's just some basic fundamentals in each and every one of those that are the same, and it's grip, it's stance, it's alignment, things like that. And if you can pull that off for the most part, I think you're gonna hit the right positions.
Yeah.
Within reason, have a nice takeaway. If you can hit just the rough area of these positions, you're gonna have a pretty good impact zone.
Yeah. So we have trust, we have experience, we have the technology. Do they use the technology that works best for you, whether it be old school, new school? The last key point is a game plan, because a lot of us fail to look at that with instructors. We go to an instructor to seek advice, and I do this predominantly as well. My thought process with it is, I just want a second set of eyes. If that's the case, no problem. You don't need a game plan. Come have an instructor look from a
Well, I mean, you've already
from the
broken
side.
70, right? I mean, you've
It's
hit
still
your goals.
but
Your
it's
game is pretty much set in stone. But we're talking about somebody that wants to break 100, 90, 80. They do need this blueprint.
right. But there will be times where you don't need it, and you just want a second set of eyes to give you some confirmation. So that component, okay with. But generally, when you're looking for an instructor, you want to find someone that will provide you with a game plan, meaning you're not just going to buy a lesson, go out there to the range and have a couple of swing tips thrown at you on your way. You want something that gives you progression, and it has a common goal. So if it is to break 100, break 90, break 80, or even break 70, have a game plan that allows you to work to attain that goal. One lesson here, one lesson there doesn't typically do that. You want to strategically plan something out. And that could be, I'm going to have a lesson every other week. And on that lesson, we're going to cover this. And during the lessons, here's what you need to work on at certain stages. So finding an instructor that can provide you with that is probably going to be your difficult component to this.
Yeah, and you might have to go through a couple of guys, but I think it's also important up front, because a lot of golfers are into this quick fix shit. They want that one tip that's going to make them magically hit the ball. And I got news for you, buddy. If you're out there listening, it ain't going to happen.
Yeah. You know what? They want that one tip. They want that quick fix right then and there. What they don't understand is that it could take a couple of weeks in order to get a swing change or a swing position modified to where it generates the results you're looking for. But you'll find, because they want to justify, I've spent $150 on a lesson. What did I get from this? And that's why you see, teachers give you information that you don't need, because
they kind of feel obligated
cost.
Because people are going to get mad. Like with Brent, it's 5 minutes and I'm out. He's like, okay, this is what you're doing. Change that. I hit a couple shots. It's fixed. He goes, that's it. I'll see you later.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to justify, what he's charging you. And so,
well, I appreciate that, because it's not tying me into knots. I'm not getting all super confused at all this information coming in. I think that's another thing, is your instructor needs to be very basic and simple.
Yeah. And that, if you look at, the Golf Channel, any TV coverage now with golf, and they talk about launch monitors, the data that is available to golfers is insane. I mean, the launch angles, spin rates, curvatures, smash factor, all this stuff, it's great to have, but to interpret it to the average golfer, they have no idea what to look at. You
Do you
know,
think Byron Nelson knew what his smash factor was in his launch monitor readings?
what's funny is that, you think back to all those guys that were really great at this game, and they had no video technology. They no titanium drivers, no.
I would say that they were more artists than they are today.
Well, yeah, and if you look at the bowls, I mean, from a Bellata to a, what you got now on the market
It's a
with Pro
joke,
Vs and
isn't
all the other
it?
ones,
It's
you
a joke
cannot
what they were
maneuver.
playing with.
Yeah, well, you cannot maneuver it like you can back in the day. So a lot of
Yeah,
shot
but I mean,
patterns
the ball
now,
was going 50 yards shorter back then.
but you can also move it. That was the key. It's if you were to get a Bellata versus a Pro V right now, um, the the effect on how to maneuver a new ball is much harder than it was with a Bellata. But also a Bellata, if you hit it thin, it'll be smiling at you because it'll just slice open.
Pilates
So
were
yeah,
very expensive for me because I would hit a wedge and it's done.
yeah, yeah. Used to go through like at least a bowl every couple of holes. You'd have to switch out.
Yeah,
So
because it would get lumpy too. It would, get out around. Like,
yeah,
I mean, honestly, the first drive they're out around, but uh the fill around the greens with those was unbelievable. They were great. So I think we'll wrap it up there. These are just some basic ideas that we have for you to go out and find a good instructor.
yeah. So let me recap it. You've got trust, finding the right fit. You've got experience. Um, that's a key because you want to make sure that they know what they're talking about. Technology that works for you. And
And
if
we
you're
forgot specialized. They need to specialize in being an instructor, not just running the tournament
right,
and running the beverage cart girls, and then
that's the balance. I mean, if they are director of operations and they're not really giving lessons, but their prior career was they're on the PGA Tour.
yeah.
That's where,
Well,
so you've got to
I,
look at what their past is. So
it
and
depends on
feel
the
comfortable.
course too, because I worked at this one golf course where I pulled out the golf carts. I, you know, took tea times. I cooked hamburgers. This is all in one shift. I'm doing all this. And
Did you
then,
buff my shoes up as well?
yeah, when the other guy came in, I would go do the driving range.
Yeah,
I did
yeah,
it all.
yeah. So trust, experience, uh, technology that works for you. So find someone um, that will aid you in learning faster, and the game plan. That is the big one. Making sure that you find an instructor that can,
I don't think you're going
help
to
you.
get that without asking, though. I think they're
Well,
going to
that's it. Yeah,
golfers are going to have to force this and say,
yeah,
hey, look, I want a plan. I
yeah. I
don't
mean,
want to
your
just come out here for
goal.
swing lessons every day.
Yeah, your goal when you're seeking an instructor is to get better, and you're gonna have a goal of either I want to break a certain number, I want to hit certain shots, I just want to get better overall. That's the ultimate goal. So, informing the instructor, this is my goal. Can you provide a game plan to attain this over a 6 month period, whatever length of time you have? Uh, you definitely have to bring that up to an instructor when you're seeking one out. So use these 4 or 5 principles to find your instructor and someone that you can trust that will take you along on this journey, because
I think
having a
that's the
second
key is
set.
the trust. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're cooking burgers, doing range carts, doing dragging the range, and taking tea times. If they know what they're talking about, and you trust them, then that's your guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're going to feel so much better about your game. You're going to feel so much better about golf because your confidence level is going to increase. Um, Having someone that can give you some really good advice does wonders for your game. Whether or not you don't see it on the scorecard right away, um,
Oh,
but just
I
feeling
had a point that we forgot to talk about. Golf
too late.
schools, the 3-day golf school.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, they look fun. I've never done one personally, and I think you could probably leave with a lot of good information. But what do you think of those?
A lot of them are info overload. Um, I'm not against them because you've got 3 to 5, even sometimes 7 days of just golf. So I love
Yeah,
that.
they're
That's
gonna
going to
get
help.
better.
Yeah, that's going to help, period. Um, the, the problem we run into is going back to that method stuff. These guys see a lot of players and they teach the same stuff and just regurgitate it. And so that's my beef with it.
Well, I think my beef with it is what you touched on earlier is information overload. And that's the thing we teach here is like you got to cut out all this extraneous bullshit
Yeah.
that's coming into your mind. I mean, you've got to turn off the golf channel. You just have to turn it off.
But I have to get that quick fix. Come on.
Yeah. You got to focus on one thing and one thing only. We have that famous graphic. I don't know where we got it. Golfer's brain.
Oh, yeah.
He's got all these thoughts going on in his head all at the same time. I mean, you can literally drive yourself crazy. So my thought on the golf schools is I think you should go to them. I think you should have fun. But when you get enough information, just forget everything else they tell you and just go out and have fun at the school there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's really the fine line too. If you find an instructor or a coach that you really like, trust, and just value what they say, you're often going to find that they will give you instructional tips that you don't feel apply. Depends on your level. I've found that I've been given tips over the years that I don't find apply right away. And then I'll just put it in a vault. I'll work on certain aspects that will, I think, apply right now. But I'll put some things into the vault because, like you said, it's info overload. So like, I'm going to focus on this now. Let me put this one over here. And then what I often find is that I'll come down, it could be 6 months, it could be 3 years. And I will be on the range and I'm like, let me try this, that this instructor gave me. And it just clicks. So
yeah.
That's a difficult one though. You've got to identify what you should be focusing on, what you need to put in the vault. But if you are, just being thrown so much information, you need to decipher what you need to work on first, prioritize it basically.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of our thoughts on clinics and finding a teaching pro. So if you have any questions, just write us at coaching@golfaggressive.com. We'll be happy to help you out. And if you're a teaching pro that wants to bitch us out, you can also reach us at coaching@golfaggressive.com. We accept all forms of email, hate mail, and love mail, which we get a lot of that. We get a lot of love mail, but I would like to receive some hate mail once in a while. I think we got some last night, kind of. But we'll talk about that on another podcast. So I am Chris. I'm here with Rich, our tame golf pro, and we are golfaggressive.com. Thanks for joining us today, and fairways and greens.
The secret to a better golf game isn't a bigger club, it's a smaller you. Studies have proven that you can add 20 plus yards to your driver and 10 plus yards to your irons by increasing your lean muscle mass and decreasing body fat. All you need is 32 minutes a day to improve your golf game, and we'll help you do it. Go to golfthin.com now to see how quickly and easily you can lose fat and lower your handicap in as little as 2 weeks. Get the ultimate advantage at golfthin.com.